It's 12 o'clock GMT, and you're welcome to the AAU TV Midweek News. We coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana. And now to our top stories for today. In higher education, Rwanda to resume national and in health, 300 Ebola patients on accounted for as outbreak persons. In business, French court orders total energy to account for oil and gas emissions. In international, Europe's deadly heat wave claims over 1,300 lives. Please stay with us for more news on the AAU TV Midweek News. My name is Jemima. Welcome back from the break, and now to our news in detail. Burkina Faso's government has approved a $10 million investment in higher education funded entirely from state resources as part of an ongoing academic reform drive aimed at restoring stability and competitiveness to the country's universities. The decision was adopted during a cabinet meeting on June 18, following a report from the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. The investment will fund new infrastructure and laboratory equipment at higher education and research institutes, with facilities expected to be operational for the 2026-2027 academic year as the country works to overcome years of disruption caused by a security crisis and recurring strikes.
The 5.97 billion
Minister
CFA franc
Manamela
investment
described
covers two parallel initiatives:
as
the
one of the
continued
most
construction of
important public
infrastructure at higher
institutions in
education
South
and research
Africa's
institutes,
democratic
and the
project,
procurement of teaching
saying
equipment
that
and laboratory
for many
consumables.
families,
This
it
is to support
represented the
practical
difference
coursework
between
from the next
inclusion
academic
and
year.
opportunity,
Crucially,
between
the
hope
entire
and
program will be
despair.
financed through the
It was
state's
precisely
2026
because of
budget,
this
without
centrality,
support
he
from
said,
external
that
partners,
failure at
reflecting a deliberate
NSFAS
commitment to
could
funding
not be
higher
allowed to
education
continue.
through domestic
The Auditor
resources.
General's finding
The
paints a
investment
deeply
aligns with
troubling
the wider
picture.
university reform
Financial
program
records are
launched by the
incomplete.
Ministry of Higher Education in
Transactions cannot be
2025,
verified,
which
and
reorganized
large
the
volume of
country's higher
data
education
remains
landscape
unsupported.
into 17
More
specialized
alarming
institutions
still,
and 4
the audit
comprehensive
revealed that
universities. Each campus has
822
been
disease
designated a
beneficiaries
regional center of
continued
excellence,
receiving
covering 9
funding.
priority
More
fields,
than
37
14,000
majors, and
students above the
485
income threshold
specializations.
were being
Key
funded.
areas include agriculture,
Hundreds were drawing from
information
both
technology, mining,
NSFAS and
medical
social
sciences, and
grants
renewable
simultaneously,
energy.
and
Joseph
tens of
Kizebo
thousands who
University,
did not meet
the country's largest
eligibility
public
or
institution,
academic
enrolled more than
requirements remained on
60,000
the
students
books.
in the 2024 to
The
2025
Portfolio
academic
Committee
year, a
chairperson,
figure 3.4
Tebogo
times higher
Dotsey,
than
told
20 years
Parliament on
ago.
May 6th
As of
the
September
financial
2024,
institution
just
should place a hold
63% of its
on large
academic programs
deposits
were
from
back on schedule.
NSFAS
The government says
until
this
reasons for
investment is designed to
transactions are
accelerate that
provided,
recovery
and stressed
build
that
a higher
fixing the
education
ICT system
that is stable,
was the first and most
competitive,
urgent
and
priority.
Moving on, Kent State University campus is set to be established in Rwanda, offering specialized programs in fashion design and merchandising that have traditionally required students to travel and study abroad. The development was announced at a symposium in Kigali on June 19th, with officials confirming that accreditation processes are underway in both Rwanda and the United States. Industry players say the initiative will also address a long-standing gap in fashion education while supporting the growth of Rwanda's creative economy, with the campus expected to begin operations once accreditation is done.
Sandrine Mukio, founder of the Stage Fashion Showcase, one of Rwanda's leading fashion events, described the initiative as a very promising development for the country's creative sector. She said many young creatives had been forced to look abroad for specialized fashion education, a path that was both financially and logistically challenging for many. She added that offering internationally affiliated programs locally would enable aspiring designers, merchandisers, and brand builders to gain industry-relevant skills while staying connected to the local market and culture. Award-winning designer Emmanuel Keza-Nyosenga said the university could help bridge the gap between natural talent and professional training, noting that many people possess creative ability but required academic guidance and structured learning to fully develop their craft. He added that access to recognized qualifications could open doors for Rwandan creatives in international competitions, expand their professional networks, and encourage more families to support young people pursuing careers in fashion. Fashion model and creative entrepreneur Franco Cabano described the development as a transformative milestone for Rwanda's creative economy, saying it will go beyond training designers to create sustainable careers, generate employment, and support the growth of competitive Rwanda fashion brands. He stressed that global competitiveness today required structured education, research, innovation, and business expertise, and that the true value lay in creating an ecosystem where creativity meets professionalism.
In health, almost 300 people who have tested positive for Ebola in DR Congo are unaccounted for, raising serious alarm about gaps in contact tracing and uncontrolled spread of the virus. The disclosure made by the head of the Africa CDC comes as DR Congo's confirmed cases surpassed 1,100 and deaths reached at least 291 since the outbreak was declared in mid-May. New WHO projections warn of more than 8,000 cases and 1,400 deaths by mid-September, with a 70% chance of the virus spreading to neighboring South Sudan, and a worst-case scenario of more than 60,000 cases by September.
The unknown whereabouts of nearly 300 confirmed Ebola patients is one of the most alarming developments in an already dire outbreak, as health authorities warn that untracked cases make it nearly impossible to break the chain of transmission. The current outbreak, the 17th to hit DR Congo, is already the worst on record. More than 1 million people in the affected areas remain inaccessible to health workers due to ongoing armed conflict in eastern Congo, a reality that continues to severely hamper responses efforts on the ground. Beyond DR Congo's borders, Uganda has reported 20 cases and 2 deaths, while France last week confirmed that a doctor who had recently returned from the Congo had tested positive for Ebola, marking the virus' first confirmed case in European soil. The WHO has said efforts by Congolese authorities in neighboring countries are working to slow transitioning, but new projections paint a deeply troubling picture. Under a moderate scenario, more than 80,000 cases and 1,400 deaths are expected by mid-September, with a 70% chance of spread to South Sudan. Under the worst-case scenario, cases could exceed 60,000 by September, with hundreds of patients missing, 1 million people unreached, and the outbreak already the worst in history. Health authorities warn that the window to contain this crisis is rapidly closing.
Stick with us for Discovery News after the break.
Applications are now open for the 2026 UNFPA Youth Leaders YOLO Fellowship Program. UNFAP Ghana, in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, in partnership with the University of Ghana School of Continuing and Distance Education at the Center for Digital Youth Development and United Nations Volunteer Program, invite qualified young people in Ghana to apply for the 8th cohort of the Heads of State Awards Scheme-Winning Youth Leaders Fellowship Program. The fellowship is open to youth leaders serving with youth-led, youth-focused, youth-serving organizations, CSOs, NGOs, and public institutions. Application deadline is 14th May 2026. For more information, visit the link on your screen.
Hello Africa is your live breakfast show delivering informative, entertaining, and energizing start to your day.
Our expert reviews break down the headlines and help you make sense of today's news.
We bring you nothing but the most interesting highlights on our top African stories.
Plus lifestyle features, inspiring interviews, and the best on the continent.
Every episode is packed with stories that inform, inspire, and celebrate the spirit of the continent.
Catch us live every Monday at 9 a.m.
And be part of the conversation on our social media platforms.
Hello, Africa, bringing the continent to your morning.
Welcome back from the break and now to the Discovery story. Angola has officially inaugurated the Leonda Science and Technology Park, the flagship facility of a $100 million science and technology development project backed by the African Government Development Bank. President Cho Lorenzo opened the facility on June 25th, describing it as a meeting point between academia, scientific research, companies, and young entrepreneurs. The project, approved by the AFDP in 2015, forms part of Angola's broader strategy to diversify an economy where oil still accounts for around 90% of export and 60% of government revenue, with a second phase already being planned to extend similar technology corridors to other provinces.
According to the African Development Bank, the project has equipped 54 science laboratories in 18 secondary schools, trained more than 1,500 teachers, researchers, and laboratory technicians, and financed 73 research projects. It has also awarded 161 postgraduate scholarships abroad and supported 1,204 girls from disadvantaged backgrounds to pursue science education. President Lourenço described science and technology as essential pillars of Angola's long-term development. The investment forms part of the government's National Development Plan for 2023 to 2027, which identifies science, technology, and innovation as strategic priorities for building a more diverse economy centered on knowledge-intensive industries, manufacturing, and private sector development. When approving the program, the AFDB said it was designed to strengthen research and development across sectors including agribusiness, biotechnology, health, renewable energy, information and communication technologies, nanotechnology, and mechatronics, while improving the competitiveness of local enterprises and supporting job creation. Higher Education, Science and Technology Minister Albano Lopez Ferreira said the Science Park will strengthen scientific research, promote innovation, and contribute to economic diversification through knowledge, competitiveness, and the development of national solutions. AFDB Country Manager Pedro Toigo said the bank and the Angolan government were already preparing a second phase of the program, one that could extend similar technology corridors to other provinces, supporting entrepreneurship, technology transfer, and industrial development well beyond Luanda.
African football has made history at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, with 9 out of 10 African teams advancing to the knockout stage of the tournament, shattering the previous record of just 2 teams in the same year. The milestone was sealed on Saturday night following DR Congo's 3-1 victory against Uzbekistan and Algeria's dramatic 3-3 draw against Austria. Morocco, South Africa, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Cape Verde, Egypt, Congo, and Algeria are all through the round of 32, with Tunisia the only African nation to miss out.
The achievement rewrites African football history. Only 6 African countries had ever qualified for the knockout stage across all previous World Cups, and never more than 2 in the same year. That record stood until Saturday night. South Africa advanced to the knockout stage for the first time in their history, while Cape Verde are enjoying a debut World Cup campaign to remember, finishing second in Group H ahead of Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. DR Congo's path to the round of 32 was particularly dramatic. Forward player Fiston Mayele said after the game that it was truly historic for his country, describing it as their first World Cup win and first knockout stage appearance. He said the whole country was happy and that the team was proud to be Congolese and intended to keep going. Johan Wissa, who scored twice, including a penalty and a stoppage time goal, reflected on the long road it had taken to reach this moment. He noted it was only DR Congo's second World Cup appearance in 52 years and reminded fans that the journey had included a draw against Portugal and a loss to Colombia. He said nothing in football was easy, but that resilience was what mattered and that moments like these had to be enjoyed. Wissa added that every African team could now dream big, saying that the continent's young talent was paving the way to a bright future for African football.
In entertainment, Nigerian Nollywood actor Joseph Momodu has officially enlisted in the United States Army, completing his basic combat training by April 2026 after relocating to the US in recent years. The actor, known for his roles in Coming to Nigeria, Tinsel, and The Johnsons, announced the milestone publicly, saying that the decision was partly inspired by his late father, who served in the Nigerian police force. Momodu becomes the first publicly confirmed male Nollywood actor to follow this path, joining a growing number of Nigerian actors who have left the entertainment industry for military services in the United States over the past 2 years.
Momodu, born Abubakar Sadiq Momodu, spent over a decade building a career in Nollywood, with credits including Coming to Nigeria, Play to Kill, and A Fool for Trust. He also appeared in long-running TV dramas such as Tinsel, Soul Sisters, and The Johnsons, and gained wider recognition after featuring in the music video for Simi's Jeremy. He twice won Best Body Male at the Africa Movie Academic Awards in 2018 and 2019. His enlistment places him among a growing number of Nollywood figures who have exchanged the film set for military service in recent years. Actress Princess Chineke joined the U.S. Army in December 2024, announcing on social media that she had answered the call of service to the United States of America. Fellow actress and producer Mayowa Dosu announced a similar enlistment around the same period, describing the shift as a significant change of direction in her career. Grace Karisbase, formerly known in Nollywood as Belinda Effa, joined the U.S. Navy in May 2025 and was granted U.S. citizenship after completing boot camp. She dedicated her enlistment to her late father, a former naval commander, writing on social media that Nigeria raised her and America challenged her. The trend reflects a broader pattern among Nigerians abroad, seeking new career paths and citizenship through military service, with each announcement drawing significant attention from fans who had followed their entertainment careers for years.
A Paris court has ordered French oil giant Total Energy to report the environmental consequences of emission from its oil and gas products and explain how it plans to address them in a landmark ruling stemming from a civil case brought by NGOs and French cities demanding the company aligns its business with the 2015 Paris Agreement on climate change. The ruling adds to a growing list of legal challenges facing Total Energies, including a separate case involving land and rights violation linked to its controversial drilling project in Uganda, which critics have described as a carbon bomb and a contentious East African crude oil pipeline stretching nearly 1,500 kilometers to Tanzania.
The Uganda project involves drilling more than 400 wells in Tilenga and around 30 in Kingfisher, with around 100 of the Tilenga wells located inside Murchison Falls, Uganda's largest and oldest national park. The project is linked to the Eastern Africa crude oil pipeline, which, due to start operating in 2027, will be the world's longest heated oil pipeline, capable of transporting up to 246,000 barrels of oil per day to Tanzania's port of Tanga. The Climate Accountability Institute says the project will unleash 379 million tons of climate heating pollution over its lifetime. Health Insights, an NGO, warned it threatens freshwater systems across 158 Ugandan wetlands, 11 rivers, 44 protected areas, and 7 key biodiversity areas, while Tanzanian storage and loading facilities are located near marine protected areas. More than 100,000 people have reportedly been displaced, with NGOs claiming inadequate compensation and lack of transparency. Opponents say locals who have gone to court over unjust compensation face intimidation and arrest by Ugandan and Tanzanian authorities. Total Energies maintained that strict measures have been taken to avoid, mitigate, and offset the project's environmental impact, and claims to be bringing tens of thousands of jobs to the region. A separate Ugandan case involving NGOs and local residents over land and rights violation is scheduled to be heard next year.
The World Health Organization has confirmed that more than 1,300 excess deaths have been recorded across Europe since June 21st, linked to a record-breaking heat wave roasting much of the continent. French health officials alone reported around 1,000 more deaths than expected since Wednesday, as tens of millions of people endured extreme temperatures over the weekend, with at least 191 million people forecast to face temperatures of at least 35 degrees Celsius on Sunday, and the heat moving eastward through Germany, the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Poland. Health services across the continent are warning of saturation.
The World Health Organization Director General, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, warned that heat stress was often called the silent killer, and that European homes, workplaces, and schools were simply not built for temperatures of this scale. He said millions of people across the continent were living under extreme heat, hundreds had died, schools were shut, and power grids were buckling under the strain. A total of 381 million people across Europe, excluding Turkey, are expected to see temperatures surpass 30 degrees Celsius based on forecasts from the German Meteorological Service. Dr. Tedros stressed that the phenomenon of the once-in-a-generation heat wave was now occurring nearly every year, driven by climate change and global warming. He pointed out that Europe was the fastest warming continent on Earth, heating at twice the global average. The WHO chief said the organization was working with member states and partners to address the health threats posed by extreme heat, focusing on preparedness, prevention, and stronger health system responses. He called on European governments to implement heat health action plans as a matter of urgency. The message from global health authorities is stark. What was once considered exceptional is fast becoming the new normal, and Europe's aging infrastructure and health systems are struggling to keep up.
That is all for the AAU TV Midweek News. Let's take a quick look at our top stories. In higher education, Rwanda to open its first international fashion school. In health, 300 Ebola patients unaccounted for as outbreak worsens. In our business story, French court orders Total Energy to account for oil and gas emissions. And international, Europe's deadly heat wave claims over 1,300 lives. Now, thanks for sticking with us on the AAU TV Midweek News. You can also get interactive with us on our various social media platforms, Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Jemima, Deladem, Dotsey. Have a good afternoon.